Heidi and I had thought about it, for a long time after launching the brokerage. Like, how can, as a company, we put our money where our mouth is, saying we want to change the industry for the better? What model can we create that doesn't just incentivize the agents based on sales volume, but incentivizes them based on what we believe are our own ways of practicing the business and the things that as a company we want to pay the agents that work for us more money for doing. So those things are loyalty to the company, education, and customer service.
This is the Faces of Riverside magazine podcast series. In addition to folks being featured in the magazine, we invite them to come in and talk a little bit more about their business, the good works that they do, and why they love it. So today we're joined by the founders of Stance Real Estate, Joe and Heidi Stance. Welcome.
Hello. Thank
Hi,
you.
Norm. Thank you for having us. And thank you for putting out your publication. It's a real asset to our community. And we're just super thankful for the other work that you do within the community in Riverside. So thank you
Mhm.
so much,
Oh,
honestly.
thank you, Joe. I appreciate you saying that. Having led with that, why don't we start with a little bit of a background and history for each of you so that folks know who they're talking to. And then I want to talk, I really want to dive into the business and why we founded it and what it looks like today and what it's going to look like tomorrow. So, Joe, why don't we start with you?
Yeah. I grew up in Riverside, Mountain View Elementary School to Central Middle School to Poly High School to RCC to my real estate license. And so after receiving my real estate license, I thought that I needed to do residential and then move my way up to commercial. But having grown up in Riverside and raised by an only child to a single mother, she challenged me to take risks in life. And knowing nothing about commercial real estate, I decided to just go interview with a local commercial real estate brokerage. When I interviewed with them, they said, "We're actually not hiring for anybody that has no experience, but our competitor down the street is. Why don't you go interview with them and good luck?" And so I did that, and that brokerage, big global commercial real estate brokerage, wound up bringing me on in 2007. And so I was with that brokerage for 5 years, prospecting industrial buildings throughout the Inland Empire, knocking on doors, trying to find companies that are expanding or contracting. And I did that for, you know, ongoing for 5 years with that brokerage until I was recruited by another big global brokerage, which I went to and I was with them for 5 years. So I was in mainstream commercial brokerage for 10 years before Heidi and I launched our own brokerage in 2018.
Okay. So we're fast approaching, how many years now? 8 years?
Yeah.
It
Yeah. We're going into our 8th year in owning a brokerage. We launched the company to change the industry for the better.
Mhm.
And we're doing well. We're proving that in Riverside. Riverside's our home. We grew up here. We love Riverside. And we want to prove that commercial real estate can be practiced differently. And the
Okay.
best place for us to prove that is in a market, Riverside, where we have a strategic advantage because we grew up here and we
Okay.
love
So
the
I want to
community.
talk. Yeah, I'm sorry, Joe. I do want to talk about that more specifically because it's interesting that it makes sense that you've chosen the community in which you were raised in. And I can imagine the advantages. I do want to kind of delve into that. But before that, I want to talk to Heidi for a minute, let her tell us her background and how she arrived on this podcast today, ultimately.
Yes, thank you. I also born and raised in Riverside. Riverside is definitely home to both of us. We love this community so much. And I have a different path. I actually started in K through 12 education. I was a teacher. I taught almost every grade level from kindergarten to 8th grade in Fontana Unified School District, and then became an assistant principal. For 3 years, I was an assistant principal there, got my doctorate in education, thinking I was going to move all the way up. I was thinking I wanted to become a superintendent of the school district at the time. And then the Lord has a different plan. And Joe came along and said, "Hey, I'm not feeling like I can make the changes that I want in this industry the way I want to underneath the current brokerage model." And I was getting frustrated with the system that I was in as well, because I just knew that teachers could be doing more for kids in certain situations. And so we both were like, "Hey, let's break out and do our own thing." And we launched in 2018, like Joe said, and we just became business owners, and tried to create this amazing company that we now have and serving Riverside people.
Okay. Well, that's exciting. And I really want to kind of delve into that if we can for a moment. Joe, you talked about doing business in a way that kind of is different, if I'm understanding you correctly, than how commercial real estate was traditionally done. And can you elaborate a little bit more on what that means to you and how that presents itself to clients, how they see that today?
Yeah, so when I started in brokerage in 2007, essentially I was asked to knock on doors, find requirements, identify companies that are expanding or contracting so that we can then lease or sell them bigger, smaller space. So I'm knocking on doors throughout the Inland Empire. I'm brought into the brokerage at a 50-50 split, meaning every deal I bring in and there's a transaction that happens, I receive 50% of the commissions that are paid. As my deal volume goes up, that brokerage increases me to 55%, 60%, 65%, and so on. So the traditional brokerage model is based on a sales volume platform, and our business model is not. I feel like I was given a license to practice real estate in the state of California to have a fiduciary responsibility to the clients I serve. And if I'm incentivized by a sales incentive, I had this epiphany that I'm kind of serving two masters at that point. And so we wanted, yeah, talk to me.
So is sales volume, when you talk about volume, you're talking about the number of units that number of properties that you sell, as opposed to the dollar values of those properties?
Sales volume is the
Dollar
gross
amount.
commissions that are brought into the brokerage. Most brokerage models are based on incentivizing the agents that work for those brokerage, is based on their splits go up as they bring in more sales volume. So when I got to 10 million in a transaction volume, my split then goes up to 55%.
I
And when
got
I
it.
get to 12 million, it goes up to 60%. And I get to 15 million, it goes up to 70% or whatever their program is. And Heidi and I had thought about it, for a long time after launching the brokerage, like how can as a company we put our money where our mouth is, saying we want to change the industry for the better. What model can we create that doesn't just incentivize the agents based on sales volume, but incentivizes them based on what we believe are our own ways of practicing the business and the things that as a company we want to pay the agents that work for us more money for doing. So those things are loyalty to the company, education, and customer service. And nowhere in our sales platform, I'm sorry, our business model, is there a sales volume incentive. And so this
Okay.
is different. This is different in an industry that is based in sales.
So, Heidi, how does that translate to to
Right. So we want our agents to be experts in what they do, right? We're not preaching closing the deals. We're preaching customer service. So we train our agents to give our clients education and to help them really understand their options when they go into either purchasing or leasing a building, so that they really know and they're making the best decisions for themselves. And that really creates loyalty amongst the clients too, right? So those are really our core values that we are incentivizing: education, loyalty, customer service.
How much that's interesting. So how much is there well, let me start with this. Is there such a thing as a typical client?
Joe likes to say that we work with what? Visionaries,
Entrepreneurs and
entrepreneurs,
risk
and risk
takers.
takers.
So really, if you think about it, the businesses that are occupying the buildings around Riverside are that. They're visionaries, they're risk takers, they're entrepreneurs. They took a chance, they had a business idea, and they stepped out, took this leap of faith, and brought their business idea to the market. So those are the people we work with on the daily. Investors do a similar thing in a different type of space, and developers do a similar thing in a different type of space. Investors, business owners, and developers, they all are taking risks. They have ideas. They have an idea of what that block should look like.
So if I'm a as a business owner that I am, but if I'm looking for space, Heidi, you mentioned that education as it relates to the client is an
Mhm.
important part of the overall offering. How many of them come to you with a really clear vision of what they need, what the best approach is? Is it lease? Is it purchase? How much education is involved in that process? What can they expect?
Yeah, well, we can take them from not knowing anything to just having their own business idea all the way to the finish line if they need to. Some of them come to us very green. They have an idea and they don't even know where to start. Like they don't have a lender in place. They don't know if they want to lease or buy. They don't even know what square footage they need, right? And that's okay. We can take them through it all. Joe likes to say sometimes we take clients through the entire buffet of commercial real estate. So we will walk through a lot of different properties on the market to kind of get a sense of where they even want to start. But then we also have the very sophisticated clients that are just expanding into another second location in Riverside, or coming from a different location and already kind of gone through the process. But maybe they're thinking like, should I lease right now or should I purchase? Like, what does the market look like? What's best for my business? And we take them through that entire process as well. If they do decide to purchase, we come alongside of them with a lender, and we have so many different lending options, and we partner with different lenders out there because we know all the programs that they can that they can benefit from. And we try to just help educate them and lead them to what they think is the best option for them, their clients, their business, and even their family life. What does it look like to be either in a lease or a purchase and going forward with their building?
Okay, so you mentioned working with lenders, for example.
Mhm.
I would imagine that you are on some level, if not directly, on occasion making referrals to those. So what do you look for in terms of your vendor partnerships or relationships before you'd even consider putting them in front of a client?
Yeah, all of the lenders are now to us with their different programs. In commercial real estate, lenders have different different appetite for different types of commercial property, not just based on product type, but also based on the business that's going to be occupying the real estate itself. So in commercial real estate, in the lending world, all of these lenders have different programs that they offer. So we want to try to not only match them up with the lender that has the best rates and the best loan structures, but also the lenders that understand their business and are going to create a relationship with that business owner. They'll have different risk tolerances, the lenders, right? So whether it's a retail, like a restaurant space, is going to have a different risk tolerance than an office space, than an industrial space, right? And so the lenders all offer different programs based around the type of risk analysis that they are seeing based on whoever the purchaser is. And so it's yeah, it's not about just referring them to one lender that's got the lowest rates. We refer them to a bunch of lenders and we can guide them through we typically merge the call. We'll merge the call with a few lenders that we have, and we'll be on the phone with that business owner,
Okay.
asking questions alongside the business owner just to make sure they don't miss something like a prepayment penalty question or when is the balloon payment. How do you what do you base the maturity date on? What does debt service coverage ratio mean? All with our experience, we want to make sure we're asking the right questions with our client on the phone so that they have all the answers to make the best decision.
Okay. So making recommendations to a client, I get the lender slash vendor relationship part of it. But when it comes to a client, I imagine that you're building, based on your approach, a lot of ideally relationships that end up being repeat business. But sometimes I would imagine as part of your, as you mentioned, Heidi, some of the education piece of this for clients, that some of the advice or recommendations might involve potentially two properties out. In other words, based on their current size today and what they're trying to accomplish today, they may need 5,000 square feet of an industrial space with visions of grandeur that one day they'll need 30,000 square feet.
Mhm.
This is not about putting them in a 30,000 square foot building today. This is about helping them assess where they really need to be today, but also talking about what the future holds for them.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
max monthly payment.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, Joe, go ahead.
I can pass the baton to Heidi, or we could both talk about max monthly payment. But that's typically at this, when we first are meeting the client for the first time, or or even if it's a long-term relationship, really what we're trying to understand is the max monthly payment that that client can afford, looking at it in three buckets. What the lender, what the lender will lend you, what the business, how you want your business to look on paper, your max monthly for how you want the business to look on paper, and how are those going to affect your personal life. And so if the clients that we're working with, if we can get them to think about that max monthly payment in those terms, we think that we can guide them to making the right decision, because we don't want to put pressure just because they can afford or just because the bank qualifies them for a $10 million property doesn't mean that that's what looks good on paper for their company. And it doesn't mean that that's the type of life they want to live in their personal life. Right.
Right. Right. That makes sense. And that's something that I imagine very few of them, at least walking through the door, or at least in that initial conversation, are really thinking about. Right. They're just thinking about square footage or,
Yeah.
functionality of the building without taking those things into account.
Yeah, and it can take a while to build that trust. Obviously, returning customers, they get it. They trust us. We built the trust. But, initially, the sooner we can get to that moment with them where they can just be 100% with us about what that number is, the faster we can guide them to whatever their goal is for the company. And we can really start making sense of, is this the right decision for you right now?
Okay.
Right. And when Joe and I launched our company, something interesting happened to our like perspective. We actually realized we became a business owner, right? Just like our clients. We are in the same, area as they are. And so every year Joe and I take a week off. We still answer our phone, but we take a week off and we plan strategically for our business for the next year. So we often do this with our clients because they haven't done this either. So we sit down with them at that initial meeting. And yes, we need to know where they're at right now, their max monthly budget now, and what they're looking to do at this moment. But also, like you said, Norm, what are you doing? What do you want to do in 5 to 10 years? Where do you want this company to go? And so that we can have that in the back of our mind as well as we're placing them. So we don't want to sign a 10-year lease if you plan to buy within 3 years, right? We want to know all your goals and all your aspirations so that we can help guide you and on a long-term basis. We're not here just to get one deal done and not talk to you again, right? We want to have a relationship with you while you're in business. We want to be your partner all the way through and help you guide you every step of the way.
Okay, so that gives me some perspective on your client interaction, and I want to ask you about that planning that you do as it relates to your own business.
Hmm.
But first, can you talk a little bit, if it makes sense? What are How do your roles differ? Do you both perform the same functionality within the company, or do you have strengths and weaknesses? And how does that interaction work?
Yeah, by personality and Enneagram and all the different ENTP stuff, all the different personality tests I've taken, probably 10 of them. I always wind up in the entrepreneur visionary
Hmm.
space, whereas Heidi winds up in the planner space.
She
And
ex
Yes.
she's, yeah,
Joe does have, he has grand visions for our company, for our life, for everything that goes into it. And it's amazing. He can come up with, like, seriously, he can come up with a great idea, a business idea daily. So he casts a vision for a company, and then I help execute it and get us there.
Okay, and is that generally a very smooth flow of ebb and flow of communication around that, or can it be challenging at times?
no, Heidi keeps a calendar with about a yeah. I turned my phone off, but I was gonna hold my phone up and show you that our calendar is completely color coordinated. So Heidi is able to take the vision and create a plan. And literally I can just go in and call it a honeydew list, but I can just go in day by day, make the most of every single day. It's the way I operate best. And I can just go in, knock those out, and then all of a sudden in, a year, we've accomplished the vision or the goal or the target. We like to call them targets, right? You want to, you could chat about that, Heidi, but yeah, it wasn't planned, right? I mean, we didn't, when we got married, we didn't plan to be business partners, but, obviously we trust in each other emphatically. And that makes for also an amazing wife, but also an amazing business partner. And our natural personalities just worked out to run a company well together. And it's one of the things that sets us apart from our competitors is that I have a great operations person, and she has a great visionary. So we complement each other very well that way.
Yeah, and quite frankly, neither of those things work without the other.
True.
Yeah, yeah.
Has to happen.
We've got a business coach through a book called Traction. So not sure if
Familiar
you've
with
ever
it?
heard of it.
I have.
Um, there's the integrator and the remind me, Heidi,
The visionary.
the
Yeah.
vision.
And the integrator. So obviously Joe is, she's casting the vision for our company, and I'm making sure that our team and we are going on that direction.
Yeah, and even, in this book, I mean, they say every company needs that. Every company needs the integrator and the
Right.
visionary.
We just
It just
happen to be married.
is not to be married, but yeah,
That's convenient. It really is.
Yes. It does
yes,
work out.
So, Mr. Visionary, once Heidi has scheduled your annual strategic meeting to look at where you are and where you're going to go, and you come up with these great visions and ideas for what that future looks like, I imagine she tempers those appropriately or accordingly in terms of what's possible. So, what does the short term future and long term future of Stance Real Estate look like?
well, we kind of stay grounded. So yes, I have, these ideas and these visions, but it always goes back to what's the purpose of the company? And what are we doing, right? The guiding light for our company is to serve others the way we would want to be served, and we're grounded by the golden rule. So, as we can have all of these ideas, but if we can filter out all of the ideas based on that guiding light, it can keep us on the right track, right? Does this new idea bring us back to center? And what the company is ultimately trying to do in the marketplace is just create a dynamic company that's able to serve others the way we would want to be served if we were looking for commercial real estate.
Okay.
Didn't answer long term, short term, I know, but I just wanted to say that because you kind of prefaced it in a way that was around the visionary type of thing. Long term, short term.
So short term, we're really excited. We already have an agent that is brought on 2 years ago. He is crushing it. His name is Nick Choriego, and we're just loving him coming on board with us and just doing a great job as an agent. Our goal is to hire three more this year. We're in the process of hiring three more, and we're in the process of getting our office building. We're very excited. We didn't really need an office building before because we meet our clients at their buildings often. But now that we're going to be having a larger team, it's best for educating and training purposes. So short-term goal is we're going to be expanding our team this year. Long-term goal is we want a high-level functioning team here in Riverside. The market can definitely we need more agents because we have a line out the door, right? We have a lot of clients that serve in Riverside, and our name is getting out there and people know about us and want to use our services, which is amazing. And so we have more agents that we need to bring on. Joe talked about this earlier in the interview. We do it differently. So we don't just hire agents and say, hey, go out there and grab some business and bring it back. No, we do it differently. Joe and I actually procure all of the business and we hand it warm leads to our agents. So they don't have to go knocking on people's doors or cold calling. They can if they want to. We train them how to do that if they want to do that. But they don't need to do that. We are going to hand them warm leads, hand them clients, and we've trained them appropriately on how to serve those clients best.
Well, that turns that traditional model kind of on its head.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, we
It's
want
exactly opposite.
Yeah, what I realized, the epiphany came after, exploring what we wanted to do with our company. But I realized I got really good at prospecting when I was brought into the industry. I got really good at finding opportunities for the brokerage. But then after starting our company, it just, it's like, what does that do for my clients that I'm good at going out, finding business for myself or the brokerage? Not not a ton. There is some value to doing it, and there's a time and a place for prospecting, but ultimately, if we have requirements coming in, we want our agents to get caught up to speed on how to negotiate. We want them to know how to handle escrows. We want them to see as many problems that can pop up in the industry in a transaction so that Heidi and I can then oversee it and teach them how to get through these challenges or these speed bumps and through the transactions that happen. And that's just going to get our team more prepared to handle anything that comes our way rather than just going out and being able to find business. We want to be able to just provide an elite level for the people we serve.
Which in turn kind of generates business for you because of that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
the market is what the market is, right? We're
Mhm.
just gonna stay our course, whatever the market is, we're gonna stay our course and keep doing it this way, and that's it, right?
So let's talk really quickly about the market. It is obviously ebbs and flows based on a lot of factors. How important is it staying up to date as to what's happening in the market to be able to kind of project out to clients what things may look like in the future versus making decisions today and so forth? What's the market like in Riverside and what role does that play in your advice?
We're Well, fortunately, we love what we do for a living, so every day we get to look at the market, right? We're looking at the market for requirements from 1,000 square feet up to 100,000 square feet. So we're talking to the actual people coming into the market and trying to understand what is attractive about our market. And it's always a difficult question to answer because it's such a broad question. Within a market, you've got retail, office, industrial, multifamily, and as well as a bunch of others. And they all perform differently within any given market. On top of that, every business performs differently in every different market. I mean, I remember when I came into the business in 2009, I came in 2007, but I remember in 2009, I was working with a vending machine company that couldn't, selling candy bars out of vending machines. And this was during the Great Recession. And this person was exploding. That person's business was absolutely exploding. And so, really, it is about understanding the market, absolutely, the average lease rates, sale prices. But then with our local expertise, being able to adjust up or down based on what we're hearing from, um, a lease requirement, a purchase requirement, a seller, or a landlord. I'd love to get into the specifics. Not sure how much time we have on the interview, but
I do
Well,
like to say one thing though, like right at this time when you're talking about specifics in the market. A lot of the news that you're hearing right now is the office market is, struggling and, it hasn't really recovered from COVID, but actually Riverside City has the highest occupancy in office specifically in the entire country right now. We are
really?
almost fully occupied in office space. Listening to the news doesn't always give you everything. You really need a local expert like Joe and I to really understand, talk about and understand Riverside. Because if you're listening to the news or reading these articles, you would think, oh, don't go into office. It's not a good product. But in Riverside, it's great.
yeah, and the other thing is, the value of the property is it really does come down to the buyer or the tenant, the value that that person sees in the property. And it's Heidi and I's job and this company's job, to find the value, even though the market says, it's $200 a square foot, $300 a square foot. It's really about understanding the specific property. It's not like we're selling 3-bedroom 2-bath homes. Every commercial property is so unique.
Friend.
It could be the exact same building, built exactly the same on the other side of the street, and it's valued differently,
Hmm.
right? So it's really about knowing the exact property. It's about knowing the market. It's about things coming to the market, which we've all we're all local here. We go to the economic development committee meetings, and we go to chamber events and things, and we hear about Riverside Live and the aquatic adventure park. It's knowing stuff that's happening in the city that can also create a value, right?
Hmm.
It's not just listening to the mass media of where office, industrial, retail, big box retail, whatever the exact product type is, it's not really about that. It's really about understanding the local the local market.
Well, I must say, Joe, I love how animated you got when we started talking about the market. Clearly, part of the one of the things that you're most passionate about. So let's kind of wrap here. I want to ask just one or two more questions. Can you talk about? You mentioned very clearly that you love the business. And it's obvious that the two of you are working together in a way that almost kind of ensures a level of success. But I want to know, when you wake up each morning, what drives you? What brings you the most joy within the business? Because I know it does outside of the business.
Yeah. My favorite part about working in this business is being able to work with entrepreneurs, visionaries, and risk takers. It's the opportunity to work alongside them. I'm not business partner with my lens of commercial real estate on, right? And it's just a blessing to be able to work with people that are pushing our economy forward, pushing our community forward. And honestly, I'm a visionary myself. So I just feel like I'm able to feed off of their energy. And they're just like, I've got this great idea for a coffee shop, or I just, we're expanding our company of manufacturing, and we've got this new idea. And if we bring on this new machine, and I need the space to do it, and I'm going to get all these accounts. And it's It's those small businesses. It's like we've got firsthand experience with the small businesses as being the backbone of our country and our community. And it's in our face every day. And they're amazing people and amazing families that we get to work with every single day. And we love doing it in Riverside. It's a way for us to give back in a way the knowledge that we just have a practice, a little commercial real estate practice here in Riverside, and just we're fortunate that we get to practice it every single day. It'd be like a basketball player just being excited that he's able to be on the court, right? And
That
so
makes sense.
it's awesome.
Okay, and Heidi, how would you answer that question?
I was born to teach. Anytime that I could be teaching, training, educating, that is where my seat is. That's my favorite part of the day. And I'm lucky I get to do it in multiple different capacities. So one is I'm constantly training ourselves and our agent to make sure that, he's up to speed in what he needs to do. I love talking with clients and walking them through the process because I'm educating all day long with that. Joe and I are also involved with many different organizations. One is the CCIM organization, where we both are designated, which is a commercial real estate elite designation. He's the president right now. Currently, I'm the VP. So I get to sit in that role and also educate our board and work with committees. So anytime I'm teaching, anytime I'm in front of people and educating, that's my jam.
Love that. Love that. Okay, so let me just ask one more question. And that is, after having had the conversation we've had, what question did I not ask that I should have? That's
Why would clients choose to work with Stance Commercial Real Estate over
okay.
another?
Okay. So I actually did have that question in mind. I'll word it a little differently. I'm going to let you answer that. Okay.
Okay.
So, what is it about Stance Real Estate that sets you apart beyond the obvious things that are things that we've already covered in terms of compensation and so forth? Why would people choose you? Why do people choose you? And I will, as a caveat to the folks listening, I have met these wonderful people many years ago, and I remember seeing, I don't remember the street, but I remember seeing their sign on a building for the first time. And these many years later now, it's hard to go down a street and not see one of their signs. So I'll let you answer that question, Heidi.
I think there's something about being a husband and wife team that's super dynamic. I think it automatically makes people feel comfortable. We work with a lot of business owners that are a husband and wife team as well. So already we have that trust factor going on because we know they know we're in it. They know we're at the same level as they are. On top of that, like we said, we are Riverside focused. And Joe is like on the economic council, right? Like he votes on certain things. We go to all the chamber events. We go and talk with the economic development team often. We are so rooted in the city and so want it to be successful that we will do whatever it takes to make the city successful and to make the people that we're working with successful. We're not the brokerage that puts up a sign and waits for someone to call us on it. No, we are out there with our flyers, with the community. Hey, property is on the market. Hey, do you need anything else? How can we help you? We're also not the brokerage that's going to drive out of our market to go to Orange County or LA to sell a building or to lease a building because that's not our market. We're not going to be doing that. We are serving Riverside. This is who we are. And this is why should want to work with us because we are the best team that there is in Riverside.
Well, that is a compelling argument. I appreciate you answering that question. Apologize I didn't ask it earlier. That being said, I want to thank you both so much for being a part of this. I'm going to put all of the contact information, websites, and phone numbers, and even email addresses, if you'd like, in the description below the video, so folks can reach out to you directly. And it's been a privilege to have this conversation. I want to thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank
Thank you,
you,
Norm. I really
Norm.
appreciate it.
Honestly, I mean, keep doing what you're doing in the community as well,
Yes.
and taking it to this next level with interviews is showing your entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
Heidi and I know we can't wait to see what else you're going to bring to this community. We super, super appreciate you. Honestly,
Well, I
honestly.
Thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
Norm.